Good evening everyone, it's Philip Bridge here from the Outdoors Party. I'm here tonight it's rather late at night, with Dilip Rupa. We're going to talk about the Declaration of Independence flag and the agreement and just that period of time in history in New Zealand, which is a very important part of New Zealand that needs to be looked at in depth at this critical time in our history right now for all of us here in New Zealand. So I'll hand it over to Dilip to introduce the topic.
Well, this here is a moko, and the reason why I've put it on is it actually says QR, because I'm the only business in New Zealand that doesn't have a QR code, and the reason why I do so is because it is unconstitutional and it is in violation of jurisdiction. Now the question about jurisdiction is, jurisdiction is brought about and will be brought about because of the elections. Now if you're offended with this, don't be. Who you should need to be offended with are these two people. This is about the Electoral Commission, and Scotty Morrison is a presenter of Maori News on TV, TV New Zealand, and also of the Marae program. The reason why I've done this, especially for the Marae program, because one of the newsreaders does have a moko, and Marae did a big program about it, but not about the QR code. The reason why I've put this on is because this man is Kingi Toroa. Kingi Toroa is the father of Nolene Toroa. So come on, Nolene, let's have the flag that he honoured and was on his coffin made known to everyone.
Dilip, can we just go back to, is it Nolene, is it?
Nolene Toroa, yes.
Okay, so what this newspaper?
Nolene Toroa.
Yeah, who is she?
She is the coach of the New Zealand netball team, and she recently, of course, got an honour from the Governor General. I think the biggest honour that she could actually do is to take this to the Governor General on behalf of her father, and present it to the Governor General before the election, and to have this matter, what he's holding in his hand and what he's endorsed, given to the Governor General, which is this document here.
How many pages is that, Dilip?
Which is to be given to the Queen to have an investigation, and this is all it requests, is for the flag referendum, which we had, to have a Royal Commission of Inquiry looking into the flag referendum, because this is a matter of jurisdiction, and it is very important that the jurisdiction is lawful, and this election is lawful. At this stage, it's not proven, and it needs a Royal Commission of Inquiry into the flag referendum and how that was conducted, because most New Zealanders don't even know why there was $26 million spent on a flag referendum. What was the need for that flag referendum?
Well, Dilip, can I just interject there for a second? What now, I've discussed with a lot of people what they thought at the time it was all about. They thought it was sort of a vanity project by John Key. John Key, yes. Well, look, he was known as John Key. There was a faux pas there, everybody. Sorry about that. It is like 11:30 at night. Sorry, John Key. They thought it was a vanity project by John, but clearly it seems like there was more to it.
Absolutely, because what lots of people don't realise is that this flag here is the Declaration of Independence flag.
Can you explain to the audience and the viewers about the timeline for the flags and the raising and lowering of the flags?
Well, quick as I can, yes. In 1834, King William, who was the king at the time, wanted to sort something out, some agreements out with this land. So he gave the chiefs 3 flags to choose from, and this is the flag that they chose. And so a Declaration of Independence was written up by Busby, and on the 28th of October 1835, that flag, which we show, rose after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. After that, King William passed away, and Queen Victoria became queen, and she was not that interested in what was going down in the South Pacific.
The Antipodes.
And so the colonial house said, well, let's get a treaty done. So off they did, and they came on the 6th of February 1840. A treaty was signed with Maori chiefs. However, this flag, the 28th of October flag, the Dewey flag, couldn't be lowered because it was King William proclaimed the flag. So to overcome that, the treaty, they used a counterfeit flag. Now, this is quite evident, and I'll show you. It'll after the fourth flag, you'll see what the counterfeit flag was. Now, a counterfeit flag was lowered. Now, this is unusual because you usually have the existing jurisdictional flag, which is the Dewey, which rose on the 28th of October 1835. It should have been lowered, but it wasn't. They used something that looked like it, the counterfeit. And then...
Dilip, can I just ask you there quickly, why did they not lower I mean, clearly they did lower this counterfeit flag, but why?
I'm not going to go into conjecture on that because
that
is for I'm just running out the facts so people, just so that people can get this. Okay, the counterfeit flag was lowered. Then the Union Jack rose. Now, what happened in...
that caused a lot of problems, didn't it?
Well, the problem happened because of the Boer War. Well, in 1899, the Boer War happened, and New Zealand Australian soldiers went over to help the British. The thing was, it was between two East India companies. There was the Dutch East India Company and the British East India Company, and they were fighting over South Africa. And the fact that Australia and New Zealand soldiers went to a foreign land meant that in 1901 Australia changed its flag, and so did New Zealand, but it was the Emblems Act. But New Zealand couldn't change its flag until the Boer War finished, because unlike Australia, who didn't have a flag, it only had the Union Jack, New Zealand did have the flag. It had this, the 28th of October 1835 flag, the Dewey. So when the war finished in 1902, the Emblems Act got its royal assent on the 12th of June 1902. So there we have that flag coming. So we have the flag everyone knows as that flag. Okay, so that's how that flag came about. So what was the need for the flag referendum? And that comes down to the fact that there was a counterfeit flag, and this is medal. This medal is for the Boer War, and what it does have is, unlike this flag, this is the counterfeit flag that was lowered when the treaty was signed, and there's what it is.
Okay, so the essential differences of this flag is it goes from that I can see anyway, is it goes from an 8-pointed down to a 5-pointed, 4 5-pointed stars. Yeah. Is that the main difference to it?
Well, no, the main difference is
it's the wrong flag.
It's not that flag.
Yeah.
It's simply, it's not the Dewey flag.
Look, and can I
and it was the counterfeit flag that was lowered. So the important thing that everyone needs to start thinking about is, what was the need for the counterfeit flag?
Now, Dilip, can I mean, I have read the documentation from TVNZ. Could you pass it over for a second?
Sure.
That's this document here, right? So I've read this document here from TVNZ, and it's quite explicit. It actually gets into, it's quite a well-written document in some respects. Would you agree? I'm not saying the content. I'm not saying the content.
It's trying to avoid telling the actual truth.
Yeah. So look, we'll put a copy of this up with as a link somehow with this video. But anyway, I read through it, and they refer to the flag, instead of calling it the counterfeit flag, they call it a, Oh, gosh.
They call it the amended flag.
The amended flag.
Now the question is, why was it amended, and what was the necessity for it to be amended?
Yeah, well, the thing I noticed that I just did want to comment quickly on, Dilip, was that they make it as if one flag, and they just amended it and did it. So, well, if you think about the very small difference between the Australian flag and the New Zealand flag, the current flags, the current well-known flags, if you think of that minor difference between the two flags, it's very difficult for non-New Zealanders and non-Australians to see the difference. They often think it's the same flag. These flags that we have as Australia and New Zealand, and we accept as two different flags, have less difference than these two flags had. These two flags are quite different when you see them side by side. They look similar, but they look similar when you look at one and then go away for a week and then look at the other one. But the difference between the two flags is actually more than the difference between our current flags that we have for Australia and New Zealand. I just wanted to make that clear to the viewer.
I think that's a valid point, but more importantly is that you have the King William gave the chiefs the opportunity to choose a flag. So what respect was given to those chiefs, that the flag they chose was amended? Who gave anyone the right to amend a flag when
it's an excuse,
this was the
that's a modern excuse.
Well, it's not acceptable. The whole point is,
well, it's not the truth, is it, really?
Yes, but it's offensive. It is totally offensive. If any Māori's getting offended with what I'm doing here, I want you to start focusing on why I've done this, because it's extremely offended, and I'm offended on behalf of Kingi Taurua, because I respect this man, and I respect the fact that if you're going to have a flag that is chosen by chiefs, then the honour of those chiefs needs to be recognised, and it has not been.
So Dilip, now quickly, can you just tell our viewers who Kingi is, for anyone that doesn't know who the man was?
Wow, everyone knows his daughter. She became a Dane because she's the coach of the New Zealand netball team, which won the World Cup. But the best way she could honour her father, Kingi Taurua. Kingi Taurua is actually he's an ex-SAS guy. He fought for the New Zealand Army. However, when he died, his coffin had this flag on it, which is unusual because usually people who in armed forces will have the flag that they fought under, which is that flag. But he didn't recognise it or respect it, and nor can his Nolene. Nor, you need to do something about this. And all King wants, and he's endorsed this, is to have an investigation into the flag referendum, because in the flag referendum, you're going to be putting a link on what happened in the flag referendum, is that the flag referendum select committee actually did not allow this flag. It did not allow it to be part of the selection process in the flag referendum. And one must question, what is the reason they couldn't allow it to? Was it because it is the truthful flag?
So now, what do you think the real purpose of the flag referendum was to do what?
Well, I pull it down to the mere fact that, here it is, the Boer War medal. It has this flag on it. And one must look at the RSA, and the RSA needs to be held accountable for this as well, is that Boer War soldiers have never recognised it in the Anzac parades. And why not? Was it because the flag that these medals have on them is the de facto flag? And the important thing is, people, please start thinking, what was the necessity for the de facto flag to be involved when the treaty was signed?
Right.
That's all. It's not rocket science.
Okay. So this is what we're calling the con flag. Which
Yeah, I think it's only right to call it. It's not an amended flag. That's a very soft option that TVNZ is doing. And let's be real, TVNZ. What's Helen Castle? You've been asked to. And we've got video of you. You have been asked to look into this matter.
Yeah.
And the reason is the question is, why haven't you? Hey, if you're going to Scotty, you present Maori News and you do marae. Now, if you're going to be presenting things for the Electoral Commission, when are you going to ask the Electoral Commission about this stuff? And when are you going to actually honour Kingi Taurua? Come on, Scotty. This is Kingi Taurua. Have some respect.
Okay, Dilip, well that probably explains
Puts it in a nutshell. Yeah.
the situation that we have at present. So what would be, just thinking of how to frame this?
Well, what would I like to see? Basically this, is that immediately I'd like Nolene, come on, stand up, Nolene, or Scotty, and I'd like to have a meeting with the Electoral Commission, and let's sort this out, and the Governor-General, because we need to sort out, is this a lawful jurisdiction?
Right.
And the question is, what is the reason why no minister, including the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister's denied the author of this document, who is Aifa now, who is in her electorate. So why has she not given him an appointment so that he could present it to her, so that she could present it to the Queen or the Governor-General?
So
well, Governor-General, there's no ministers of that at the moment. We're right in an election process. It's your obligation to put this matter before the Queen. So there's no if, buts or maybes on it.
So Dilip, we're just to recap for the viewers, we actually stood outside the Governor-General's house here in Auckland
A couple of weeks back, yes, before she signed the writ.
Before she signed the writ to, well, basically, I'll hand it over to you for a second, just quickly.
Well, basically what it was the problem is this, that it goes back to one of Jamie Lee Ross's constituents, and
who would that be?
Tin Shan, who was also in the video because he was the other chap that went down to the select committee, and he wanted to do his presentation, but he wasn't allowed to.
Why is that?
Unless he refrained from having his presentation videoed. Now, are we in a democracy? Why are you voting? What is, Governor-General, you need to start realising that this is a violation. Scotty Morrison, come on. Scotty, you want to present Maori News, and Marae, and you don't, are you paid counterfeit money from the Electoral Commission? So let's get this done. This is about unlawfulness, and we need to show respect. We need to show respect to Kingi Taurua.
So Dilip, we went to, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think showing the man respect is very important.
Well, it's actually about whether this is lawful.
Yeah.
And Scotty, you might want to be, whatever you want to be, unlawful. But hey, so anyway, it's just disgraceful what you're doing.
So Dilip, without labouring the point too much, so we we protested basically the signing of the writ in front of the Governor-General's house.
No, we didn't protest it. We questioned her right to actually sign the writ.
Yep.
But then, of course, the question is she had no grounds not to sign it for the simple reason that the people that had a responsibility to inform her whether there was lawfulness did not do their job. And
who was?
Jamie Lee Ross,
right.
the Minister of Police, the Minister of Transport.
Why the Minister of Police?
Because they were requested from Tin Shan
Right.
to do so.
Yeah.
And also the Commissioner of Police.
How long ago?
Well, they were. The Commissioner of Police was asked to do so a week before the writ was signed, and
Okay.
he has not been able to prove the jurisdiction that the police because if you have a look at the police coat of arms, they actually have this flag. Now that is the
Which flag is that, Dilip?
well, I call it the 12th of June post-Boer War flag,
Okay.
the 12th of June 1902.
Which flag is that?
That is the blue,
Oh, yeah.
this one here, the 12th of June, this one here.
Okay.
And if you have a look at them, and that's what the flag is that they have on them.
So just out of interest, I don't know if it's relevant to what we're speaking about at the moment, on that piece of paper, I'm just curious, what's that red flag? Is that anything?
Oh, that's just purely that's a ensign. This is actually from that. Believe it or not, the Maori had a flag referendum as well, which I believe a very small percentage of them got involved in. But you know, there was a lot of the Maori Party put this had this referendum before the big flag referendum. But
so
a lot of inaccuracies were presented to Maori as well in their flag referendum.
Okay. So, that's relevant. So, wrapping up, Dilip, what's next? What do you think's next?
Wow, I don't really know what's next. We just have to see whether the Governor General is honourable, because this matter needs to go to here it is.
So if
Put it to the Queen. That's all.
Okay,
That's all we're asking.
just
have this matter put before the Queen.
You've just raised something really interesting there, and we'll cap this off shortly, but when you say if the Governor General is honourable, of course MPs are called the Honourable this person, the Honourable that person. If a person is dishonourable or not honourable, what does that mean, and what happens there?
Well, here's the question. Is the Prime Minister honourable? Well, she's not. She's totally dishonourable. She doesn't have any respect for constitutional issues. I mean, say when her own constituent is not granted an appointment, I mean, say what does that say about anything? But what's very important is that she was the at the time of the select committee for the flag referendum, she was the Auckland Central Labor candidate. She lost 2 elections to Nikki Kay, but when the actual, she was on that select committee. Now, why would you want to vote, and if that's the only thing you do, and you can't participate in a democratic process? I as an Auckland Central electorate constituent, went all the way down to Wellington with Tin Chan, and I made a presentation before the flag flag select committee. Now, the Winston Peters did a presentation before me, and the RSA did a presentation before me. Now, Jacinta Ardern was there. However, when I made my presentation, she's not my constituent MP because she lost the election, but she wanted to represent me, and she put herself up for election to represent Auckland Central, and she wasn't present.
Right.
I mean, so what is it? One must question, because Ike is of brown skin, and I've got brown skin, and is she a racist? I think that the Prime Minister is a racist because she's not respecting Kingi either.
Now, how long ago, I've seen the video at the RSA, was it the Greyland RSA, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Now, how long ago was that where Ike was asking, this is after he's already requested to...
Yeah, I mean, say there's emails going requesting an appointment.
This year or early this year?
Oh,
or late last
for 3
year,
years, for the whole term. And Jacinta Ardern. Jacinta Ardern is just does not have any respect for her constituents.
Right.
Because I even asked her for an appointment and she refused to give me one.
Okay, And then going to Jamie Lee Ross, who Tin Chan.
That's Tin Chan's
again, can we just get
constituent
Can we
MP.
get a timeline on that? Is that early this year, late last year?
No, this was just this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tin Chan asked to. Sent the information, didn't he? Didn't he send?
Well, I know his was that. Unlike everyone else who's got a driver's license, Tin Chan's has this on his driver's license. He has this flag. And the police stopped him and they said it's an inappropriate license, for which there's a $400 fine. Well, Tin Chan, of course, questioned it through his MP. How can that
Jamie
be
Lee Ross.
Jamie Lee Ross, because he's in botany. How can that be an inappropriate license? Because that is the lawful flag of this country. And that's why the police commissioner, it's gone up through the Minister of Police who and the Minister of Transport, who Tin Chan asked Jamie Lee Ross to ask them in Parliament to prove that the jurisdiction of Parliament was lawful. And they didn't, of course. So, and we had lockdown when that was supposed to happen, which is quite convenient.
It was on the very day, wasn't it?
Yes, it was on the very day. Very day of us going into lockdown. So Parliament closed, of course, And so Jamie Lee Ross never did his duty because, and of course, he's pulled out of being a constituent MP for the botany seat. So that just shows you the integrity of the Advanced Party. But, the question is, so Tin Chan went to the Commissioner of Police, and the Commissioner of Police had a full week prior to the signing of the writ to prove the jurisdiction. I believe the Commissioner of Police is trained in law. Yeah.
Now, you brought up a really good point, because we were looking at a video by Vinnie Eastwood with, what's his name, that guy?
Oh, Billy T.
Billy TK. And he was speaking about, he was talking about, there was some relative thing there where he's bringing the QR code stuff, wasn't he?
Yes.
Just can you remember what we?
Well, he went. Billy was going on about the rangateros and that up in north. The important thing about everyone, all Māoridom, is that they did not. They've never actually figured out the important part of the treaty, and that is that it was a counterfeit flag. And let's focus on this. Why? What was the need for a counterfeit flag? I mean, I've said, Scotty Morrison, are you being paid in counterfeit money? Because you should be, because it's worthless. And it is, it's the only reason why you have something that is counterfeit is because it's a con. And clearly the treaty is a con. Otherwise, this Declaration of Independence flag would have been lowered. And it couldn't be lowered for whatever reason, and that is not for us to determine, it's not for me to even determine, that is the reason for the Queen and the Royal Commission of Inquiry looking into the flag referendum, because one must now realise what was the necessity for the flag referendum if it wasn't to cover something up. Right. And if it is to cover something up, let the flag referendum, let the Queen, with all her expertise, go and do it.
Okay, and just one last question before we cap off, because it's getting pretty late here. We're probably actually into the next day by now. Look, just one other question I've got, and I know that the viewers out there, some of you may have this question as well. The Declaration of Independence, who does that cover?
The Declaration obviously covers everyone in this independent land. And we're the people of the land, and it's a wonderful document. I believe Busby actually called it the Magna Carta of this land. So
okay, great.
Here we are.
Hey, well, look, thanks, Dilip. Yeah. And if anyone's got any questions that you want answered, just pop them in questions below in the Facebook comments. This will also be posted up to BitChute, YouTube, cold cast as well, because Facebook is turning out to be an unreliable platform. So we'll probably be eventually moving off the platform. I think a lot of
May
people
I just
will be.
add something about that, about Facebook?
Sure.
Who's actually caused all the problems about Facebook? It's been about Jacinta Ardern and,
Really?
well, I believe so. They had this conference or something in Paris or something.
Okay.
But,
Where was that?
well,
Roughly.
I can't recall, you know,
This year.
the important thing is it doesn't matter what it is. Facebook, when it comes to a democratic issue, stay out. After all, it's not your job.
Or your
we
jurisdiction.
have the right to have everything that we want to say put on there.
Yeah.
Unless there is a reason, unless it's unlawful, and let's face it, we're talking about lawfulness here, butt out, because you have no right to get involved.
Yeah.
And you have no right to take anything down. That is freedom, our freedom and our right to know what's going on. And if and you've been hiding, I mean, so let's face it, TV NZ, you've been hiding this information for how long? Right through the flag referendum. So how can we have a true democracy when facts are being hidden? And when Facebook, stay out, this is our right. It is our democracy. Just because you might be controlled by China, no, we're not going to have that. Stay out.
Yeah, we are the 99%.
Yeah.
And we are the people of this land.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Dilip, for that.
No worries.
That's really cool that you have taken the time with us tonight to go through the situation with the flags. And we've got some really interesting videos coming up that support this as well. Yeah, so it's getting late, and we'll say good night for now.
Good night.